Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Broken Tackle Show, the show that's not on prime time, but if we were, it would be a lot more interesting than the boring NFL games. Two of them this week ended in a 10-7 score. Now, luckily, the Eagles and the Packers, YouTube and Disney still having their dispute, so I couldn't even watch that one, and it's a good thing I didn't. I'm tired of this boring, I would say, NFL slate for primetime games. Like one of the things they should do for sure is 7-2 Rams versus 7-2 Seahawks. Flex that to the Monday night game. Nobody wants to see the Cowboys and the Raiders. It's becoming an issue, and it has been the last few years. They did a great job last year, I think, or a couple years ago. Whenever it was that they brought the whole flexing thing into it, they made some good calls. I think it should be available every single week though, and that the NFL team should be able to respond accordingly if that's what they're worried about. Um, the Eagles did end up edging over the Packers on Monday Night Football. Chargers beat the Steelers on Sunday night. And then the Broncos and the Raiders was also one of those boring games, which Raiders get another primetime slate. For what reason? I have no idea. This Monday. So kind of kind of a couple cool matchups to look forward to this week for sure. A lot of in-division rivalries going on.
I completely agree. I mean, back on last week's primetime games, that Broncos game, I ended up falling asleep during the middle of that. It was just too boring.
Yeah,
And I mean, I couldn't really fall asleep at the Packers Eagles game, but I mean,
because you were
why
there,
would
but
I? Right? No, I mean, who would have thought that we would have had a 0-0 tie going into the third quarter in the Monday night primetime game? I don't think anybody would have. And of course we did.
0-0 at halftime.
I for sure didn't
Two
expect that one to
very,
happen. Yeah.
yeah, two very well respected teams, very large fan bases. Both the Eagles and the Packers, they're both playing well this season. Um, but the thing is, when those two play each other, it's never exciting or crazy. And you put them on a primetime game where the most of your viewers are going to be, and it's not good. It's not a good effect for that. You could put like there was like some shootouts, like something these defenses aren't gonna go nuts. Like nobody wants to watch that kind of game, and for an NFL as a corporation that wants max engagement, max viewership, showing those kind of games isn't gonna get it done for you. So I'm kind of
I'm fine
confused
with
on why they
that.
keep doing it.
With the defensive battle. That's good football to me. I like watching defense.
That is good football, but for the NFL, all it is a cash grab. If we're being honest, like what they want is money, and I just for me those kind of games aren't gonna bring it in because I don't personally like the fans don't want to watch that. Unfortunately, like
I'm
a
fine
good
with it.
defensive battle, sure, but at the end of the day, what the NFL makes more money on is the excitement and the big plays.
I completely agree. Like, I mean, there wasn't any big plays. I mean, what the biggest play? I guess you could say there's. I mean, I won't even say biggest play. Like the two biggest plays that even happened on in the Eagles game was the Saquon big run that set up the second play and the Devontae Smith touchdown. I mean, those would arguably be the two biggest plays because, like, yeah, did the Packers score? Yeah, but it was a 2 yard rush, 3 yard rush. So it's not even a big play. Um, so I mean, there's just we need more bigger plays, I think, in these primetime games because like the Raiders game, I don't think there was a single big play in that game besides I think a pick that happened. Other than that, it was nothing.
And that being another 10-7 game, like yes, you could say, "Oh boy, wow, what a good defensive battle." But aside from Max Crosby, the Raiders have no defense. Broncos, they have a good defense.
Well, the
That
Raiders held
part
their own, man. I mean,
didn't really make a ton of sense.
they they held that Broncos offense to not a lot of movement, and I feel for Broncos fans because it's the same way right now with Green Bay. I feel like each of our teams don't have an identity, and not fun to watch when your offense can't get going. Um, at least Green Bay couldn't get going against the Eagles, not the Raiders. Um, but it's hard to have big plays nowadays with the way that NFL defenses are playing. I mean, they're all playing to just not get beat deep and just hoping the offense makes a mistake, dinking and dunk on their way down the field. So
I mean, we still do see like those big plays, but most of the time it's either blown coverage or just miscommunication on defense. Um, which I suppose if you're Cardinals fans, you're used to that by now. Uh, yes, that was throwing shade. Anyways, so like the Jets and the Patriots on Thursday night tomorrow. Not too thrilled about that matchup. It's probably going to be one and the same. I do like the way Drake May's been playing. This will be kind of if you don't have NFL Red Zone or don't watch every single little Jets game, this will be the first. I believe they might have. Yeah, so this will be the first primetime game that they get where we see no Sauce, no Quinnen Williams, and just Brees Garrett and Justin Fields
Garrett
on
Wilson
offense.
is questionable. He may not
Oh
even
yeah, I
play
believe
this week.
he's yeah. I think he was doubtful
I
actually
think he's
earlier.
doubtful. Yeah, I don't think he's
Yeah,
gonna play tomorrow.
Yeah, so even then, like I said, not too thrilled about that matchup. I guess it is an individual in division game. Sorry, but probably not going to have any sparks or fireworks. One game that might honestly is probably going to be like the Commanders and Dolphins. I believe they're in Madrid. I want to say early Sunday morning here in the U.S.
I'm not sure
So
where they're at. Yeah,
that
yeah, it's
both of the, I
Madrid.
mean,
Yeah,
the Commanders not so much, but or sorry, the Dolphins not so much, but the Commanders like really need to string together a few big like let's call them big wins, but they need to get the ball rolling if they hope to make a playoff push, which it seems like that's what they're trying to do. But without Jane Daniels and the way Marcus Mariota's been playing, I'm not entirely sure. Their defense hasn't looked as good as it did last year. It's
yeah.
almost like a sophomore slump, but Jane Daniels has been hurt, so really, I don't really know exactly what to call it there.
I don't think the Commanders are gonna make the playoffs. They're at 3-7, and they're not gonna have Jane Daniels for an unknown amount of time. I just don't think that they would have to win out, especially with Philly being in their division. Um,
So many good NFC teams, like the entire
yeah,
North right now,
it's
could make playoffs.
it's really unfortunate for a Green Bay fan like me because we were clear favorites to win the NFC the first couple weeks, and then now we drop all the way down to 7 seed with this loss to Philadelphia, and I'm honestly nervous because there's so many good NFC teams this year that we we could maybe even not even make playoffs with 11 wins. There's just so many teams that are good. Um, I think
I
I
completely
usually think
agree.
the NFC is like this. I think the AFC is usually a little more top heavy with Kansas City and Buffalo, and then Cincinnati more and more.
And
You know
Baltimore.
those teams are always good, but the NFC I feel there's just more depth to it, and it's going to be competitive. And then now we have the NFC North, which I know we talk about every single week, but every single team with a winning record. So well, not Minnesota anymore because they lost to the Ravens, but um, yeah,
Still, though,
I'm
you can't
nervous.
count them out, and when
Mm-mm.
a lot of the second time that you guys play those teams in the division comes later in the season, even like week 18, for example, in Minnesota. There, see, by then there could be very big playoff implications, being whoever wins that game will be in the playoffs, and that's kind of scary to think about if you're, I guess, an NFC North fan in general. I'm not too even set on myself right now as a Seahawks fan in the West because, like, yeah, we're tied with the Rams, but the 49ers aren't far behind. I think they're only a game or two. And they play the Cardinals this week, so they could win that game, I believe, easily. Jacoby Brissett, I believe, still starting. I don't think Kyler Murray is. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
You're
Kyler
right. I
um,
Murray
think
got
Kylie's
placed on
still off
AR.
another 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like,
he called it. He came
if
home.
anybody could really make it, and not only that, but you got the Falcons, maybe who maybe if they went out can do a really good job at pushing through, but the Buccaneers for sure would be a team to worry about
And
sneaking into
and
the
they're
playoffs.
getting Bucky is back to practice right now too for the Buccaneers. So getting him back would be, I mean, that the offense is in full effect. I think at that point, them
Oh
What
getting
yeah.
scares
Bucky
me about
back,
the Bucks
it's
is
a
all they have a ton of injuries on their offensive line. I'm honestly surprised they have the record that they do right now because I don't even know how many starters are playing for them besides Tristan Wirfs. Um, and then of course
They did
Evans
drop a
got
few
hurt.
like big games there, but
And then Buck Evans, he's gonna come back, but um, yeah, the Bucks
uh,
are another team to look out for. With if Baker can keep being consistent with how he plays, I mean, they just dropped kind of a not a good one to the Patriots, but the Patriots are a good team. I'm gonna give them credit for that, but they didn't play their best ball against New England, so
no, and like you were Jesse, you were talking about how you're afraid, in your division right now, and same thing with you, Caleb. I'm a little afraid right now in my division. I mean, our schedule starting after our bye. I mean, shoot, you seen how the Packers game went? That was just a slugfest on defense. We couldn't really move the ball, and when we did, it was just a couple dinks and dumps, and then punt. I mean, and our schedule is just gonna get harder because we still have the Lions to face. We still have the Bills to play. I mean, the Vikings, if they come out, or not the Vikings, the Bears, we still have to play them. Like our division, or not our division, our schedule just got harder after a bye. And if we drop a couple games, I mean, and Dallas wins those other games, there's a fight right there between us again. And I don't know. The NFC's all up in one big grab right
well,
now.
yeah, and you're
I mean,
not the only
obviously in
one
AFC,
with a pretty tough schedule coming up. I mean, we do have the Giants next week, but then we have to play Minnesota. We have to go to Detroit. We play the Bears, and then we have to go to Denver, and then thankfully we get the Ravens at home. Um, but it's not going to get any easier for a couple NFC
no.
teams.
Like the AFC, they have their clear cut, you know, almost division, winners with uh Denver. I think they have a 2 or 3 game games on second place right now. You got Buffalo that has I think they're down a game right now to the Patriots. Then you got the Colts that obviously they're gonna have their division. I mean that's a no brainer. And uh the Steelers have their division. I mean, you can almost say that those divisions and the AFC is already set for playoffs. You just got to win some more games. Hope that a couple other teams in their division lose a couple, and they're good. NFC, I don't know. The last few years has been like it comes down to week 18 every year. The last few years, and that's where I mean hell breaks loose. Come playoffs, because if Philly drops one game, Seattle picks up a game, they take number one seed. If Seattle drops a game and we keep on winning, I mean, they could be out here looking like the Packers in a couple weeks. Having the 7th seed, the Packers could go up to the 3rd seed again. Who knows?
so and I mean that's all dependent on what the Seahawks and Rams do this Sunday. Uh, two very good teams
It's an
right this
important
moment.
one.
It is a big one. And then they play week 16 too. That'll be the second matchup of them. And
You know,
I don't know. We were talking about this the other day. It's starting to look like the 2012 like playoff implications almost. Uh, shoot, I mean the Patriots are good again. They're on top. The Colts are good. They're knocking on the door. And here you got the Seahawks, Packers. Um, not so
Philly
much the
out of nowhere,
Falcons, but Philly coming into that, stepping in place. It
and
looks
you got
very
Denver
similar
too.
to what that was.
You got
You got
Denver, New England, and
Mm-hmm.
the only team we're missing right now is the Saints, and we have the 2012 season all over again. To be
It's
honest,
just for longtime Colts fans, you remember that with Andrew Luck and all that, but 2012 to 2014 range, I guess I should say, because I believe Luck was drafted in 12, but
sounds
still,
about right.
it's looking pretty scary. Uh, I honestly didn't think the Patriots were going to be able to take this big a leap that this year, but kudos to them, honestly. I do despise him as a Seahawks fan, but I can't hate on good quarterback play and Mike Vrabel being able to turn around what Gerard Mayo couldn't.
pretty much the exact same roster. And the Patriots could barely win a game last year. Now they're 8-2. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know if you guys have seen this at all, but you see what jerseys the Rams are wearing this week against their in their
The
primetime game.
rivalry.
Yep, I'll be watching that game. I
I
mean,
wish the
I want to
Seahawks
see
would wear theirs, but
those
I guess
jerseys
we're
out
waiting until
there.
week 16. I guess we're waiting until week 16. And it's not even a primetime game, so I won't even get to watch it. I will have to sit there and twiddly dee my thumbs while I watch the Chiefs and the Broncos play, which I don't really care about. I don't want to watch them play. But being exactly where I'm located right here in the Midwest, that's all. That's the only game we're gonna get at that time, unless I pirate it. But that's never the
Yeah,
answer.
it's always the
no.
answer.
It's gonna have to be. I'll be at work anyways, but it don't matter. It starts at 3. I'll be able to catch the end of it.
Yeah,
It's still not a twiddly dee fun time, Freddy. Not at all. Um, I do like the Lions and Eagles on Sunday night because here's the difference between that being a primetime game and the Packers and Eagles being a primetime game. It's that I know for a fact that the Lions are going to find a way to score. Um, and so it'll be up to the Eagles then to try to answer back. And I think the Lions defense is a little bit worse than the Packers, so both sides are going to be able to let up some points. And we should have a little bit more entertaining Sunday night football game this time around, I guess. But
It's also
I'm not
indoors.
watching that too. And no, it's in Philly.
Oh, never mind. Whoops.
Yep, so it's
it's at
outdoors.
home.
But I will not be watching Cowboys and Raiders. I like seeing Dax sling the rock, but I can't stand if it come. Actually, I could totally see them being in a 30-point shootout by the end of that game for whatever reason. If it is by halftime, I'll tune in, but I'm not gonna even bother.
I completely agree. Same way.
Okay. So Daniel Jones leads the league now in passing yards, as Jonathan Taylor continues to lead the league in rushing yards. So two Colts, two different categories, paving the path for everything here. Justin Herbert and Drake May aren't too far behind. Drake May, how about it? A Patriot quarterback in the top 5 passing yards. When's the last time you saw that, everybody? There was this actual funny. It was just like from a meme page, NFL meme page, but it was apparently Tom Brady cloned his DNA 23 years ago, and now here's Drake May at 23 years old, slinging the rock for the Patriots. But again, that was just a meme account. If that somehow came into light, I'm pretty sure my head would fall off. Um, JSN is the first one out of the receivers to crack over 1,000 yards. He is still on very good pace, despite giving me a scare last week and having to go into the tent for a concussion protocol. They didn't really try to use him at all in the second half, as we were up 38-7 at halftime. But they did let him come back in and have a couple more catches at least. So that's what kind of brought him fully over that 1,000-yard mark, sitting comfortably at a 10:41. Closest person, over 200 yards away, Jamar Chase with 8:31. Let's see what else we got. Interceptions, I guess, refuses to change. It's either nobody's getting picks or it's always somebody different. Miles Garrett and Brian Burns now lead the league in sacks. Nick Bitonio or Benito. I don't know why I said Bitonio. That's funny.
You're thinking of
Thinking of
Joel
Joel.
Bitonio.
Yeah, thinking of Joel. This is the way I looked on the screen there. Um, Nick Benito coming in at number three, and then of course those teams that you just kind of pray for if you're the fan of them: Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner, Demario Davis, and Cedric Gray, all from Miami, Washington, New Orleans, and Tennessee, respectively,
Yep.
leading the league in tackles. But that's exactly what you'd expect. Not necessarily a good stat, but that's just kind of where you are. I do find it surprising now that CD's back. George Pickens is still number four on the receiving yard list. Obviously, I know he's the number two guy, but it seems like when CD was out for that couple weeks there, that it seems like him and George really like picked up some chemistry and started working really well together.
Hmm.
And I don't know, that's something that I like to see too. I was kind of weirded out that the Steelers even traded them. I, him and
It
DK would
didn't
have
make
been
sense to me. I mean,
a
it just
nightmare.
yeah. And now the Steelers are in the market for a wide receiver. I don't understand the trade. It didn't make any sense to me unless there was some sort
I
of
don't know.
internal thing between DK and George Pickens. But why would you trade for DK knowing George Pickens wasn't going to be a fan of it? I mean, you would have saved yourself some capital and some
Literally,
money. Um, because
Yeah.
now the Steelers are
literally.
back. They're out here signing MVS, and it's just
They did just sign
yeah. I
Asante
don't know.
Samuel too.
They are
Uh, the Steelers.
gearing up and priming, ready to go 9-8 and sneak their way into the seventh seed. Is what they're doing.
Somehow, some way.
I don't know how Mike Tomlin does it, dude. He refuses to be anything better. He just, yeah, I will be mid and make the playoffs every year. You know, 3 or 4 of those years that you do that, or that you're about to do that, I don't know. You lose that couple extra games here and there, and you'd be looking at probably a lot better picks in the draft instead of always picking at 22nd or 20th. Like, I don't know.
I
You
mean,
might be able to
it's
form
funny
a better
that
team.
the two black and yellow teams of the world have forgotten what offense is. Iowa and Pittsburgh. Um,
Steelers actually stole Iowa's uniforms.
yeah, okay, but um,
A
I
little bit of lore
mean,
for you.
the Steelers just seem to be stuck in 2010, 2012, thinking their defense is how how you're gonna win. Which defense does win championships, but you need an offense to score some
And
points,
their defense is
especially in the
good.
NFL.
It's just they haven't found their footing
It's
until
yeah,
a couple weeks ago. But
it has not been very good this year until they have been doing a little better the last couple weeks.
yeah,
So
versus Chargers wasn't the greatest. But I mean,
I
what
mean,
can you
Chargers
do?
defense is good though too. At the end of the day, and when you are having a little bit of a slump in the offense, and then you try to go up against a arguably a top five defense in the league, you're not going to do the world's greatest.
I think their like biggest issue, apart from obviously not having any receivers, is they just can't get the run game going. Jalen Warren's not the guy. They don't trust Caleb Johnson and Kenneth Gainwell. Well, he's bounced around from team to team for a reason. Um, I don't
He
think
hasn't bounced
letting
around team
Najee
to team.
go. I don't think letting Najee go was the move
no, and now Najee
for
doesn't
him
even
because
now Najee can't even play for the Chargers, so
yeah,
that's unfortunate for them.
beings he was 1,000 yard rusher every year that he was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So part of that run game is what allowed mediocre quarterbacks to be able to make playoffs with him. But you relying too heavily on a 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers to sling the rock every game because you can't run the ball. And I don't know. Maybe this is the year that they don't actually make the playoffs. But somehow, some way, it's Mike Tomlin
Well,
at
they
the end of the
started
day.
out 5-2. I mean, or I don't know if it's 5-2, but it was. I mean, they've started out good, but yeah, you can't. make Aaron Rodgers carry the team like he did in Green Bay. He needs to have some help, especially at the age he is now. I mean, it's just what it is.
No, no, I
Little
just
last nidbit here of information is uh because I wanted to bring this to light, being that there is an Eagle fan in here, and I know we talked about this earlier in the season, but I can't believe it's happening again. Is AJ Brown is crying again? He is still crying. The team is seven and
so
two, and he is still crying.
I mean, he's mad on how the offense is playing at the end of the day. He's expecting us to go out and put up 40 plus points like the Lions did a couple years ago, and it's just you can't do that every single week, and especially against a good Packers defense with Micah and that squad. You can't go out there and put 40 points up out of nowhere, and at that point expect to not have a shootout. He's he said in a press conference earlier today that he's unsatisfied with the whole entire offense, not just Hurts, but the entire offense. And I mean, at first hand, I I see it too. There's times where he was open on Monday and Hurts just didn't pass it to him, or he just ran around and took a 1 yard gain or something other than just giving it to him when he was open. I don't know. There's just when it comes down to it, he's he's starting to give me that Stefon Diggs crybaby aspect in the game. And I mean, I'm not the world's biggest fan over it at all, but we have him on a cheap contract. Keep him
I just
around a
can't
little bit
believe he
more.
told people on the stream to drop me if you have me on fantasy.
I seen
That
that
was
earlier
that was
too.
crazy to me.
It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, you can say all that, but no,
and he throws a
we're
touchdown
seven
pass
and
to
two.
himself too.
Right, we are
Yeah,
we are 7-2 right now. You cannot be mad. We are winning football games. If we were
coming
two
off
and
of a Super
seven,
Bowl win.
right? If we were 2-7 and you weren't getting the ball, yeah, then be mad. But we are 7-2, coming off of we are defending Super Bowl champs. Just be arguably one of the hardest teams in the NFC, and you want to complain? And get that out of here. You just can't be acting like a baby at a pro level. Stefon Diggs, you know.
Amen. Amen. That was exactly the point I wanted to get to at that. With that information being said, there is we kind of already went over the primetime games this next week. Um, like I said, there's a lot of in division rivalries: Seahawks, Rams, Chiefs, Broncos, Niners, Cardinals, Bengals, Steelers. The list goes on and on. Um, it'll be kind of interesting to see what kind of shakes out after this week, especially with my Seahawks. But until then, I believe that is going to be all we have time for. If you guys didn't have any last little tidbits of information,
Um,
Hmm.
I guess the one little thing I've told Jesse on Tuesday is man, if you guys have an opportunity to go watch your team play at Lambeau, man, go watch it. It's an entire different atmosphere when it comes to game day. Completely different.
and that's coming from Eagles fans, ladies and gentlemen.
Coming from
All right,
Eagles
everybody,
fans.
we'll see you guys next week on the Broken Tackle. Thanks for watching.